An active mind doesn't mean a distracted mind. For some people, it's the opposite. There's a moment most people experience at night that you might not. The lights go off, the room gets quiet, the day ends, and instead of your mind slowing down, it opens up. Thoughts begin lining up, ideas connect, memories surface, questions form, conversations replay, possibilities unfold. Not in panic, not in fear, just motion. But when no one teaches you how to work with that kind of mind, it quietly turns into exhaustion, overthinking, and burnout that doesn't make sense from the outside. What's often called overthinking is really deep work happening without structure. There's actually a name for this in psychology. It's called emotional residue. It's when the nervous system holds onto emotional information even after the moment has passed. If you've ever wondered why your mind keeps moving even when you want rest, this isn't insomnia in the traditional sense. And it's not anxiety either. It's something far more specific. Most people think a busy mind means stress. But for some people, mental motion is the default state. Silence doesn't turn the system off. Silence turns the signal up. When external input drops, internal processing finally has room to surface. That's why your thoughts don't stop when the world does. They were already running. You just couldn't hear them before.
Did you know that on average, viewers are only watching about 25.2% of each of my long-form videos? That means a significant portion of the valuable insights and deeper dives are being missed. If you're looking to get the full picture or truly immerse yourself in a topic, try watching a little longer. You might be surprised by what you discover. And remember, you can always use the timestamps in the description to jump to specific sections or adjust the playback speed to fit your viewing preference. My goal is for you to get the most value out of every video, however you choose to watch. If you're finding this content helpful and want more insights into emotional intelligence, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It's completely free, and it ensures you won't miss any future videos. Thank you kindly, good people.
Here's the reframe most people never get. A mind that doesn't shut off is not a malfunctioning mind. It's a mind designed for synthesis. Your brain isn't looping randomly. It's integrating. It's taking information gathered throughout the day and weaving it into meaning. This is why INFJs often feel drained after meetings where nothing technically went wrong. Your system was tracking tone shifts, pauses, and unspoken tension. Connections you didn't consciously make earlier suddenly click. Emotional undercurrents you didn't have time to feel finally arrive. Unfinished patterns look for closure. This is not rumination by default. It's consolidation. The brain does its deepest work when it's not being interrupted. And interruption is constant during the day. Not all deep thinking is productive. Without structure, depth turns into cognitive drain. With structure, it becomes insight. Noise, tasks, conversations, expectations, decisions. At night, all of that drops away. So the mind steps forward. This is where people get confused. They think rest means emptiness. But for certain brains, rest means coherence. The mind isn't trying to exhaust you. It's trying to finish what it started. Neuroscience helps explain this. The brain has networks that activate when you're not focused on the outside world. This is where pattern compression happens. Your brain isn't wandering. It's reducing complexity so future decisions cost less energy. Neuroscience calls this shift the default mode network. It's responsible for self-reflection, memory integration, future simulation, and meaning-making. It's the system that activates when external tasks shut down, and for intuitive minds, it doesn't rest. It reorganizes. For some people, this network hums quietly. For others, it lights up. And when it does, the experience feels like constant internal motion. Ideas stacking, thoughts linking, insights arriving without invitation. You don't chase them. They come to you. This is why your best ideas show up in the shower, on walks, late at night, or in moments of stillness. Your mind doesn't need stimulation. It needs space. But here's the problem. We live in a culture that equates stillness with laziness and mental quiet with health. This isn't about being sensitive. It's about being precise. INFJs don't absorb more emotion. They detect more information. So when your mind stays active, you assume something is wrong. You try to force it to stop. You distract yourself. You scroll. You numb. You override. And when that doesn't work, you judge yourself. But judgment adds noise. And noise is exactly what your system is trying to escape. A mind that never shuts off often belongs to someone who sees patterns. Patterns across time. Patterns across people. Patterns across systems. Pattern recognition doesn't clock out. It doesn't respond to relax. It responds to resolution. That's why unfinished thoughts linger. That's why unanswered questions stay present. That's why you feel relief not when you sleep, but when something finally makes sense. Now let's talk about the emotional layer, because this isn't just thinking. It's feeling threaded through thought. Your mind doesn't separate logic and emotion cleanly. It processes them together. So when you replay a conversation, you're not just analyzing words. You're tracking tone, meaning, impact, unspoken intention. That depth adds richness, but it also adds load. This is why your mind feels loud even when nothing is technically wrong. It's not reacting, it's resolving. And resolution takes time. The mistake most people make is trying to silence the mind instead of supporting it. They think peace comes from stopping thought. But for you, peace comes from organizing thought, externalizing it, giving it somewhere to land. This is why writing helps, why voice notes help, why talking things through helps, why thinking out loud feels grounding. Your mind isn't chaotic, it's crowded, and crowded systems don't need suppression. They need structure. A mind that never shuts off is often a mind that doesn't feel safe enough to rest. Not because the world is dangerous, but because your brain has learned that awareness prevents mistakes. That anticipation prevents harm. That staying one step ahead keeps things from falling apart. So it stays on, not to punish you, but to protect what matters. This is why forcing relaxation rarely works. The system doesn't trust it yet. Trust comes from consistency, from proving that nothing bad happens when you let go for a moment, from building containers where thought can move freely without overwhelming the body, from learning how to downshift without disconnecting. This is where tools matter, not to make you think less, but to help you carry less internally. In a world optimized for speed, the rare advantage is synthesis. Machines process faster. Humans who integrate meaning outperform. Some of the things I'm describing here are hard to talk about publicly, not because they're controversial, but because they're easily misunderstood. That's why I write privately. Understanding your brain changes the relationship you have with it. Instead of fighting the motion, you start directing it. Instead of asking, how do I shut this off? You ask, where does this need to go? That question changes everything. If your mind never fully shuts off, it doesn't mean you're broken. It means your system is built for depth, integration, and foresight. The goal isn't silence, it's balance. Depth without recovery leads to burnout. High-performing mind cycle focus the same way elite athletes cycle training. If this video resonated, I share a different layer of thinking off algorithm. It's a private email list where I write things I wouldn't say publicly. No posting schedule, no performance pressure. Just deeper thoughts, patterns, and questions that don't belong on social media. If you're someone who processes quietly and deeply, you'll probably feel at home there. The link is in the description. In the next video, we'll talk about why conversations drain you even when they go well, and how constant internal simulation turns social interaction into cognitive labor. Until then, remember this. A loud mind is not a weak mind. It's a working one. And once you learn how to work with it instead of against it, rest stops being something you chase. It becomes something you allow.